What is up, fellas? What is up, YouTube? It's been a minute. I missed y'all. Man. I know the last couple of streams we were streaming specifically on X and Kick. Now we are back on YouTube. Finally, we're so back on YouTube. So I'm super excited here, guys, to be streaming again on YouTube, which is one of my favorite platforms. As you guys know, you guys have been rocking with me a long time over here on YouTube. So being able to stream here again is nice. I'm excited. And we're back. We got another episode of the order book ready to go live, ready to start cracking. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the charts. Let's talk about the markets. The chat is going insane. The volume is not good. I don't know. Cody in the chat, let me know. Is the volume not good? I feel like the volume is okay. Can you let me... Look how messy my desk is. This is so rude, guys. I'm so sorry. I told myself I was going to clean up my desk, and then I started my video, and my desk is quite literally a mess. So what I'm simply going to do is just pick all this shit up and move it a little bit. Now look at that. Now it looks like there's just a laptop over there. You can't even tell. You can't even tell that there was anything over there. So what's up, guys? It's good to be back. It's been a minute since I've streamed on YouTube, but we're super happy to be here. As you guys know, this is the order book. Okay, so this is my new stream channel here. We've tightened everything up here. So today's show is going to be shorter than the last couple. We're going to be doing the Yeet section in its own video. It's going to be the order book after dark. That will be in its own video, okay? And this is going to be charts, Polymarket, education, me dunking on fools. We know the YouTube chat has always been the best chat. So there should be a lot more activity in the chat, which I'm really excited about. So let's fucking get after it. As always, my boy Cody is monitoring the chat. So if there's anything you want to talk about, anything you want me to see, that is the place to do it. But we got a lot to talk about today. We got a lot to talk about. A lot is going on. Your boy's been cooking in more ways than one. So you know I'm going to be doing some clout collection. Your boy is going to be collecting some clout throughout the video. But let's get into the charts, fellas. Let's get into the charts. So real quick, we're over here on the charts. Let's talk about what's going on with Bitcoin right now. So at a higher time frame view, right? At a higher time frame view, not much has really changed. We're still in this bottoming structure potentially here for a low, right? That's what I think everyone is looking at. They want this to be the low. They want this to end up being like this or one of these. Or even this, right? Or this. I think it's much more likely that we are in one of these kind of lower high structures. As you guys know, my view on Bitcoin still remains the same, even after all of these videos. The viewpoint is still the same. I still think that we are likely another leg down away from the bottom. I think that the high likelihood of us bottoming lower in this deep pullback area is my expectation, okay? I think it's pretty high odds. I am of the mindset that the 4-year cycle still exists, right? So what am I saying when I say 4-year cycle? Well, here's your top. December 2017. Here's your next top. 4 years later, November 2021. Here's your next top. 4 years later, October of 2025. Well, guess what? This works for the lows as well. Here's your low, December 2018. Here's your next low, 4 years later, November of 2022, which puts our next low, in my opinion, somewhere in late 2026, maybe October, November, December of 2026. So the good news is we're already several months into this bear market. The bad news is I personally think that there's still some more downward price action to come. We've broken down structure on the monthly here. Okay, the monthly structure has broken. So we have to be aware that when the monthly structure breaks, that, in my opinion, signifies a meaningful change in direction, in price, right? Like this is something that we have to be aware of. We cannot ignore a monthly market structure shift. Now, the last time we had a monthly market structure shift was here. And while price was only a few months away from bottoming, after that monthly structure shift occurred, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months until we bottomed. Okay, and then in terms of price, from the close of that monthly structure break to the bottom was over 20% more downside. Well, let's line it up. If we have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? This puts us somewhere in the same time frame. A little bit earlier, this monthly structure break was in June. We're only in March, but it puts us late Q4, late 2027. And if we map out the same downward price action, another 20 or so percent lower from here puts us in the low 50s at a bare minimum. Is it going to be the exact same as last time? I don't know. It's never the exact same, but the top was very similar. Very similar topping structure. There's been a lot of similarities between this cycle and last cycle. The 4-year cycle absolutely remains intact. So I'm going to be under the assumption that the 4-year cycle is what we're looking for. Okay, is what we're looking for. Is my face too much in the way here? I feel like I can move myself down a little bit. You want me to move myself over here? How's this? Is this better? Okay, so lots of similarities. I'm going to assume the 4-year cycle remains the same. Okay, my estimation, 4-year cycle remains the same. I also really like this setup here. So if you're on the monthly, we have this monthly low right here, liquidity, and then we have this kind of monthly breaker block right there. Okay, this also happens to be the yearly breaker, right? Because this is the yearly open for 2022 right here, right? So the yearly order block is confluent right with this monthly breaker, and we have that nice little low. If you look at it like this, right? Look at where that yearly breaker is, or that yearly order block is. I'll mark this out, zoom down to the monthly now. You have that low right there. There's that monthly breaker. This is your yearly order block. And you might be like, Mayne, a yearly order block, you're insane. You're an insane person. Why would anyone ever use a yearly order block? Well, did the yearly order block not form the low of the last bear market? So is it that insane to think that maybe there's a possibility that we retest this yearly order block, which would put us exactly a little over 60% off all-time high? I don't think it's that crazy at all. Last cycle, how far did we come off all-time high? Mid-70s. So I don't think 48K is a crazy target by any means, and I really like just the confluence of that low, blah, blah, blah. So I've talked about this a bunch in prior videos. This remains my high time frame view. Okay, so let's talk about the low time frame. What are we looking at short term? Well, if you've been watching any of these order block videos, which I hope you have, and real quick, guys, you want to support me in the show, please go sign up and follow the order book page. Once I get to 5,000, is that the number we chose, Cody? I'm probably making these up as I go. Let's say 5,000 followers on the order book Twitter, and let's say 1,000 on the order book Instagram where all the clips are going. I'll do a giveaway. I'll give away some cash. So I'm literally buying your engagement. I'm paying you cashola, okay, to follow these pages, please, okay? So that's high time frame. Now, if you've been looking at the low time frame, like I said, if you've been watching these videos, we've been focused on this range, right? Low to the high. Let's just get the these doodads off there, right? And we had opportunities here for trades, which I shared with you. I gave you guys in the Telegram stop entry target for the Iran low, which was right here. So this entry, this higher low, we gave you stop entry target, okay? Gave you the entire thesis for the setup, high risk, but we have the war news. We had our H4 sweep, right? We had our breaker block down here. We had all the ingredients of the setup. Stop right below the low there. Target the range high. All of the ingredients were given there for the long, and that thing ripped. So that was a nice trade that we took. And then what we discussed a lot in the last video, and my last video on YouTube from 2 days ago or something like that, 3 days ago, was the language that I'm seeing on Twitter right now is very reminiscent of what we saw here. Okay, so what we saw here was a ton of people telling you that you cannot fade this multi-month range high breakout. And quite simply, I said, if this is going to hold this breakout, it's got to hold the retest and it has to hold this trend line. If it loses the trend line, if it fails to hold the retest, I think it goes down to here. That was my entire plan. I told you guys to exit your spot bags on a loss of this level as well, because we would trade lower. The language here has been the exact same. All over Twitter, a bunch of people telling you that you cannot fade the range high. I said the exact same thing that I said on that last consolidation, which is if this is going to hold, you want to see them hold this retest, and you want to see them hold this kind of trend line here, right? And it's arguably kind of held the retest here. But what I told you guys, first of all, I would have much rather seen it hold a lot higher, like the actual range high. This thing came all the way down to the mid-range. But what I posted about in Telegram last night and on Twitter was that technically this is a sweep, right? So there's your high, right? Here is your structure break. That's an MSB. That is a lower low on the H12 there after taking the high. And if you go up to like the 2-day chart, 3-day chart maybe, no, 2-day chart for sure. If you go to like the 2-day chart here, right, it is an SFP. Like that's an SFP of the range high. It closed above on the daily, but on the 2-day it's an SFP, the 12-hour it's a deviation. So like you can trade a deviation the same as you can trade an SFP. So this will be a very good Dung Schlung says, I'm looking very cute today and my neck is looking mad skinny. Guys, it's a bear market. I can't afford food. Here's the deal, boys, girls, probably mostly boys, let's be honest. Your boy is on a diet. Right now I'm on 16 and 8 intermittent fasting. So I eat for 8 hours, fast the other 16, okay? I'm trying to lose about 20 pounds. And it's not because I'm fat, it's because I'm 45 now, and being a big old strong hefty boy at 6'2", 210 pounds, it's a lot of weight to carry around when you're old and decrepit like me. So I'm trying to get a little skinnier. I'd like to get down to like 185, 190, just be a little bit more lean and limber. And unfortunately, some of that weight is coming out of my neck. It's coming out of my neck, so I apologize. Okay, but here's a good piece of alpha for you guys, okay? So listen closely. So when you're trading a system like mine, right? I always tell you guys very simply, what are we looking for? We're looking for like a couple of key items, right? Item number one is, here's your high time frame. There's your high. What is item number one? I'm looking for this to get swept. So I want to see price. I can do this even better here. We can do this even prettier. Ideally, you know what? Let's get crazy. Let's do this on the whiteboard. Let's do this on the whiteboard. We're going to the fucking whiteboard. Hold on here, boys. Hold on. We're going to go to the whiteboard. Okay. So when you're trading my system, what have I taught you guys that you're looking for? It's a couple of things. Very basic Trader Mayne 101 stuff. If you're a follower of me, you should know this stuff for sure. Anyone in the chat. What are the main things that we're looking for when we're looking for a trade setup? I'll just tell you, because you guys are too slow, okay? Number one, right? We're looking for a high. Number two, we're looking for an SFP of that high. Okay? Number three, we zoom in to low time frame and we look for our breaker plus MSB. This is the crux of my entire system, right? This could be a breaker, this could be an OB, it could be a fair value gap, whatever. But this is the crux of my system here that I've shared with you guys over years now. Now, what I've always showed you, right, is that you need, here's your high here, right? You want to see price trade above there and below SFP, right? So this is just a wick. And then what we do is we zoom in here and we look for our little like breaker type of setup, right? We look for our little low time frame entry at this SFP. That's kind of how my system and a lot of other price action traders trade. The thing is though, this SFP, we can close above and then trade back below, and this is now a deviation. It's the exact same. So whether this is an SFP or a deviation, it works the same. So what does this look like practically? What does this look like practically, right? It's the exact same. Okay, so when we look at an SFP like this, right? Like this is an SFP here on the weekly, right? Right there. Then you zoom in, you say, okay, we've got our H12 breakdown, blah, blah, blah. There's your setup. Well, on the 3-day, that SFP wasn't an SFP. It actually closed through the high, but then it closed right back below. It's treated the exact same. So if you want to expand your setups using my type of system, you don't need the SFP every time. It can close through the level, but as long as it deviates right back below, like it did here, imagine this is the inverse of this, it still works the exact same. So that's what we're talking about here. Is like technically, right, this is a deviation of that range high. It might as well be an SFP. It works the exact same. So I said something to watch because we also have the market structure break here, right? Something to watch here is if we get some sort of breakdown. And what levels did I give you guys on Twitter and on Telegram? The fibs. I said, pull your fib from there to there. Throw on your little 618, 78.6, 70.5. And I said, if it's going to put in a lower high, the bears have the best setup. And it should reject right in this area. I posted that yesterday on Twitter and on Telegram. And that's exactly where price came into. And that's exactly where we've rejected from. Okay, so how did I pinpoint this entire fucking area? This is all stuff that I've taught you by now. I've taught you how to do the fibs. I've taught you how to do the breaker blocks. I've taught you how to look for the SFPs and then go down to the low time frame. So at this point, you should be able to identify these types of setups on your own. So we're seeing the reaction here, and this is all I said on Twitter was, hey, the bulls, if you want to be bullish this market, wait for us to reclaim the range high, because for now, this is a bearish setup. Stop above there, there's your entry, you're targeting the range low. So if the bears are able to slam it below this trend line, I think we take out 60K, toot sweet. If the bulls are able to get us above the range high, that's where you long. Because if you didn't long here, if you didn't already long here, The risk reward is now dog shit. You cannot long here, in my opinion. Maybe you want to take a low time frame long here, but the risk reward is no longer on the long side. I think you need to wait for a reclaim, and then that is your entry, right? Stop below some sort of swing low down here. That's your entry for a move towards 80K and potentially higher. So if you're not in a trade already, I would say flat is probably the position I would be in. But for now, you know, we're kind of, I think, leaning a little bearish, but the bulls have a very clear level that they got to reclaim. All right. So I gave you the high time frame view on Bitcoin. I've given you the low time frame view on Bitcoin. I'm going to check the chat here because the chat is cooking. Now that we're back on YouTube, the chat is cooking. I fucking missed YouTube. I missed you guys. I really did. I really did. I missed my YouTube homies. We're so fucking back. It's insane. It's insane how fucking back we are. All right, let's look at some of these questions here. XPL said trillions. Do we trust this shit? This is Plasma. I don't know, man. Do you trust this shit? What I will say is, you know, how much worse can it get? And when you look at charts that are this beat up, they have like very clear, easy levels, right? Like, so the selling was super aggressive. I mean, this is skydiving, right? We're going skydiving. Now we're in the parachute, and now we're kind of like floating towards the ground. So at the very least, the selling has subsided a little bit. But if Bitcoin breaks down, you bet your ass a lot of these altcoins are just going to break down again. I would not trust any altcoin ever for any reason other than a short period of time, right? Remember, Bitcoin goes up for 3 years, down for a year, right? Altcoins go down for 3 years and they go up for 1 year. It's a lot easier to be a bull on Bitcoin than it is to be a bull on altcoins. You got to be really good. That being said, if for some reason you want to buy this coin, and I have no idea what this coin does, I don't know if there's VCs behind it, I don't know if there's people who are vesting their tokens and selling it into the ground, I don't know, nor do I fucking care. This is a super clean level right there. See that? So it's this old low, right? It's this old low there. This is like, these types of setups are easy to trade. Low, low, now it's resistance. You want to long this thing? You could argue, hey, this is in a bit of an uptrend here, right? It's in a little mini uptrend here. Higher highs and higher lows right here. You could argue this is a higher low, right? But for me to want to get involved in something like this, I think the much easier setup is you just wait for the reclaim. You just wait for the reclaim, okay? So above this level here, makes a fresh high, bang, that is your low with your stop. This is your entry, target 1, target 2, target 3. That's how I would trade this. Okay? Just longed oil again. The mask is so creepy. That's not a mask, that's literally my face. Literally my face. No yeet today. That'll be on its own video tomorrow. That's why we're back on YouTube. It's a bear flag. Very good chance it's a bear flag. Sweep the lows and scare some hoes. I think the hoes are sufficiently scared. Like, I think the hoes, 5 red months in a row, I would venture to say that the hoes are sufficiently scared and the hoes are panically waiting outside for their Uber to show up, but he like is circling the block and they're sitting there on their phone like, where the fuck is this fucking Uber driver? We need to get the fuck out of here. And they're very, very, very scared and very, very panicked at this point. Order flow is for gays. Okay. The Cloud Goblin has returned. The Heat leaderboard. I shouldn't have posted about it, bro. There's 3 people on it. What do you want me to do? I need more people to trade on there to go gamble. What the fuck? I look 36. That might be the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Thank you. Do you even Reddit? No, I'm fucking natural. I've heard a lot about peptides and whatnot. I'm just a little scared, to be honest with you. Me and my wife are trying to have kids soon, so I don't want to like put in anything that's exogenous to the body until maybe I have kids, and then I'll look into that stuff. David Kissel, you end up adding to your equity short a while ago. I didn't add on this bounce, if that's what you're asking. I'm already full size short from up here. But I added to that trade like 2 weeks ago. We've been in this trade forever. Okay, so it already played out to 2R. I'm still holding the entire position. I haven't closed any of it. Stop is at 70.50. I feel very comfy in the position. If I'm right, this high should hold. And we should put in another lower high somewhere here. And then another lower low. Obviously, this wick, it's like, okay. But, I mean, we broke structure on a lot of the meaningful time frames. And I think this bounce might be an overreaction to some of the stuff that Trump said, being like, oh, the war's basically over. I don't agree that the war's just over and it was that easy, but we'll see. Are we supposed to find the breaker on the H12 candle or go to the low time frame and find on the 1 hour? If you're trading the H12, H1 system, the H12, right, is where you look for your SFP and your bias more than anything. Am I bullish or bearish? So do you think we go up? Do you think we go down? And then once you have these elements, the H1 is your execution time frame. So that's where you're looking for your breaker, your fair value gap, whatever, to actually enter the trade. Final TP 6K, I don't think so. I'm going to play it by ear. I don't know. I don't know what happens, right? Like, I genuinely don't know, and I'm not risking like fucking a crazy, insane amount of money. But if this thing rolls over hard, I think it can go decently low. I think 6K is, a very reasonable target. Like 6K is just back into the pre-tariff highs. That's not that fucking crazy. This is what? The 10 to 15% drawdown? That's not the end of the world. That's less than this drawdown was. Are you doing a diet to give your kids proper genetics? I'm just trying to get in the best shape possible so my fucking swimmers are swimming straight. Everything's dialed in. There's enough fucking stuff going on in the world. My sperm is, I assume, just chock full of microplastics. So the least I can do is try and be healthy and give them a good chance. You know? Look at Kick questions. What's up? I am looking forward to streaming with Keyboard Monkey. I don't know what else was on Kick here. Hi, Mayne. Could you showcase how to enter a trade in the low time frame POI, like a 15-minute within a high time frame POI, which sweep the key level? I'll do that once we get over to the whiteboard. So, guys, speaking of whiteboard, I've got something very exciting that I'm working on here. Cody is helping me. Okay. So what we're going to be doing, guys, is we're going to be starting a educational series. We're probably going to call it the Whiteboard series, where I will be using this big touchscreen TV here, and I'll be walking you guys through my trading system, as well as breaking down each of these individual topics. So we will do a video on swing failure patterns. We'll do a video on order blocks, on breakers, on liquidity, on all of these price action concepts that I've taught you in a dispersed fashion over the vast majority of years. Yeah, that is something that we're going to work on and come out with. Am I long-term? Yeah, I know the sauna, dude. You got sauna with an ice pack on the newts. Am I long-term bullish on ETH? I don't know. It's been perpetually disappointing. We can look at ETH real quick here. Like, am I long-term bullish on something that failed to make a new all-time high, like, or barely made a new all-time high? It's hard to say. All I know for sure is if ETH comes down here, I want to buy it. Whether or not it ever goes back up to here again, I don't know. But if we get, sub 1400 ETH, right, to sub 1,000 ETH, like if we get to this area, I just feel like there's at least a, 2 to 4x from these price levels, at least. So like that's a trade I would be interested in taking. I just think there's better places you could put your money. You were better off in Solana this cycle than being in ETH. You're probably going to be better off in something like Hype or whatever new coin comes out than you will be being in ETH. Or, crazy idea, own fucking Bitcoin. I know, radical concept, just own Bitcoin, the best performing asset out of all of them. It's the hardest money in the space. Each cycle, it makes a new all-time high. Suffers the least amount of drawdown, right? The best store of value out of the cryptos. We're going to go into Hype in depth. I'm going to go a deep dive on Arthur's post. We're going to talk about Hyperliquid. We're going to talk about Hype. We're going to talk about all of that. We'll talk about oil as well. Eat a lot of red things, watermelon, tomatoes, and such, and practice a lot. Don't even think it. Are you saying practice a lot by having a lot of sex? Someone tell my wife. I'm just kidding. Yes, we are definitely having sex. Zor, my boy, what's up, dude? He's right. Bitcoin also not gay. Very important. A lot of these altcoins, very gay. Bitcoin, definitely not gay. This stream is live on YouTube, bro. You can rewatch it on YouTube. You can rewatch it on X, on all those different places. So yeah, ETH, if we get down here, I absolutely am a buyer on Ethereum. Otherwise, I'm just not very interested. I'll still trade ETH. I'll still look at the chart. But in terms of holding like a significant amount of spot ETH, unless we get a pretty deep discount, just not interested at this time. I think I would just rather hold cash or Bitcoin, quite honestly. ETH we talked about in the last video. I gave you guys the short, right? Because we had the H12 sweep. We went down to the H1. The setup played out, right? The setup played out perfectly. We had the breaker block. There's your down candle before the move up that caused the sweep, right? On the 30-minute chart, we had the MSB because the hourly, if you remember, was a little bit tricky. It's tricky to rock around right here. So that was the setup on ETH, right? I gave you guys this short. We were trading like right here, I think, last video. I said this short on ETH stop there is live, and right, look to the left for your targets. Took out a bunch of these lows. This one's gone, this one's gone. And it's doing the same thing Bitcoin's doing right now. It's potentially putting in its lower high. We'll see. Maybe it has some more legs. But I think it's the exact same setup as Bitcoin, genuinely. Like, you want a long ETH? Okay, why not just wait until it reclaims the range high? Like, if you want to be bullish on this thing, I think it needs to get above here, 2150. Until then, like, at best, chop. At worst, back to the range low. Tom Lee is down an ungodly amount of money. But the good news for Tom Lee, at least, is it's other people's money. Andreas, love from Norway. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Okay, let's look at oil. We'll look at the S&P. We'll look at gold, and then I'll do a couple chart requests here, guys. And then we'll get into some prediction market stuff, just some general market news topics here. Okay, so I already talked about the S&P, but we had our weekly structure break last week, right? So on Friday, we closed below the swing low that generated the last swing high. So to me, this is a weekly structure break that's significant, and any sort of bounce, my expectation is that it's a fade. We had this kind of Sunday open gap down, right? This is Sunday, market open. We gap down and then quickly recovered that into resistance here. Trump saying, don't worry, oil's going to come down, all of this other bullshit. I think Trump looks at the market a lot and uses it as a barometer for his success as president. And if he does things and the market responds positively, I think in his mind, he views that he is doing the right things. So I am of the opinion that we are due for a major correction in equities this year. And that has not come to fruition yet. We have not seen that pullback even occur yet. Like, this is still very early. It's potential signs of pulling back here. We've got that breakdown. We've now got, consecutive H12 structure breaks. There's your first one, right? And then we've now broken, even though we bounced back up here, we broke below that low. So what I want to see, for the sake of my short and my thesis being correct in general, is just lower. I want to see lower. I want to see another move to the downside on equities. That's what I want to see. So that's my game plan there. I'm in that trade already. Nasdaq, right? It's hanging on by a thread here. Has not broken structure the same way that ES has. Like, this is your structural low for Nasdaq on the weekly. It's still holding that for now. The Dow Jones, we gave you guys this beautiful level here, and look at how well it played out. When we came up and retested this level, this is NVIDIA earnings. I talked about this on stream as it happened. I said, this is the easiest setup you're gonna get. We're retesting this is literally like baby pips TA. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, there's your neckline, right? Or just basic over under, high, higher high, back below. And then on NVIDIA earnings, I said, this is exactly where it should nuke, stop above there. Lo and behold, it's exactly what happened. The entirety of CT longing NVIDIA right into fucking earnings, getting absolutely decimated. And NVIDIA played out the same way, effectively, right? It didn't have as much of a drawdown, but the setup was the exact same, whereas it needs to reclaim this 195 level. And until it reclaims the 195 level, assume it's bearish. Well, you can treat the Dow the exact same, okay? Until the Dow reclaims this level, I mean, obviously there's levels in here earlier that you could flip bullish on, but this is the big boss for the Dow, 49,680. The big boss for the S&P 500 is 7,000, in my opinion. Okay, and the big level for NVIDIA is 195. New terminal should go live this month. I don't know if I'm supposed to be saying that on stream, but what I've been told, and if you're one of the breakout engineers, please don't shoot me. I've been told we should be ready to go live this month with the new terminal. Now, there's a few other things. There's a few other hiccups. The way it's going to get rolled out, I'm not 100% sure on all that. But my understanding is people should start getting access to it this month. And if that doesn't come true, I never said it. But that's my expectation here. That's my understanding, at least. Okay, so let's look at Mayne, do you think you're a Mogger? I genuinely don't know what that means. I'm 43 years old. So you're going to have to explain that to me. I'd say the new gay line. The new gay line, right? Remember, below 30K, you are gay. This guy's an OG fan. I would say below 40K, definitely gay. Like, below 40K, you're definitely gay. Your girlfriend, she knows you're gay. Your wife's boyfriend knows you're gay. Your parents, they know you're gay. I would say below 40K, you're for sure gay. But we're still in a bear market. You could argue if we reclaim, right? Because you got like back here, like the gay line was like the level we had to reclaim to not be gay anymore. I think you could argue like it's similar-ish. It's like maybe this 90K is, we'll call it like this is gay. This is pretty fucking gay. This is maybe bi-curious. This is you're so back playing for the fucking home team again. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, yeah, Pam Bondi top DJI, exactly. Exactly. Okay, let's go look at oil here. Obviously, there's a lot going on with oil that we're going to talk about in some of these news items and stuff. Strait of Hormuz, what's going on in Iran. It's all very relevant. But I made a tweet about oil, and I posted about this, and I talked about this on video. Someone find the clip. I think it was 1 or 2 streams ago when oil was up here. And I said, my expectation of oil was this, right? But I said, there's a world where we trade above this trend line and it's like a fake out, and then we get our low, and then the next run happens. Obviously, we've had this massive kind of event-driven push above the highs. I think Trump obviously freaking out, tries to say some things to quell the market. I think the likelihood of this is now very low. I thought we were going to take out $54 before the next oil bull run. I thought that was a pretty strong certainty. Now it seems a lot less likely, but I had talked about this pullback on the video. I said, hey, there's a chance this comes back and retests this, and then we got to see if it holds the retest, let alone the breakout. Like right now, this monthly candle still is well above the trend line here. But I think a lot of people on Twitter, etc., who were like, I think Cooker was one of them, longing oil on hyperliquid when you have no knowledge of how this market works, or the fact that we are in this kind of crazy geopolitical situation in the Middle East that has a lot of impact on the oil market in general. Sometimes you got to just be so smart to know that you're retarded. Like, and that's how I view my skill set. That's one of my strongest skills. You know, when you're in a job interview and they say, like, you know, what are you good at? And like, what are some of your weaknesses? Like, one of my strengths is being smart enough to know that I'm retarded. And so when you see something like this happen, not just a multi-month breakout, which is usually like, oh, I better fucking long this thing, but a catalyst-driven move like this, you got to be smart enough to know that you're too retarded to trade this market. Does that make sense? You need to be so smart that you know you're retarded. And because you're retarded, you know you're not smart enough to trade this market right now. So what is my opinion on oil? I wouldn't fucking touch it. Unless you longed it before this breakout, or maybe you shorted up here, I'm not touching this market right now. There's too much going on. This move is crazy. I would rather not light my money on fire because trading this type of environment, I think, is very risky. You definitely got to know what you're doing, and I'm pretty confident the vast majority of you, especially if you're trading oil on fucking hyperliquid of all places, because you've never traded it before, should not be touching this. It's like Andrew Tate, who's like, I'm longing oil at $70 in case Israel strikes Iran, right? And then it was like here. And then traded all the way down here, and then 2 years later it does this, and he's just like, see, I told you, and it's like now back at his entry. He is too retarded to know that he's retarded, okay? I am smart enough that I know that I'm retarded. So we're both retarded, both retards, but I know that I'm retarded. Andrew Tate doesn't think he's retarded. Andrew Tate is so retarded, he thinks he's smart. Am I making sense? I feel like this is like poetic, but I think if you break this down, watch it at 50% speed, what I said there is actually quite insightful. It's quite insightful, okay? So by all means, if you want to trade oil, fucking go for it. I have no interest in touching this until the dust settles. There's tons of other things I can trade. I don't need to trade oil right now. Yeah, you want to gamble on this like the great nomad, or no, what do you say here? Cartoon coin clips. He's betting on Polymarket. Go bet on Polymarket, where your risk is a lot easier to define than trying to actually trade this with leverage. What crypto are you buying this year? Bitcoin. All I care about is Bitcoin. I don't care about any of these other coins. I have no interest in fucking pretty much any other coin. I've been here long enough that I know the main coin that I want to hold is Bitcoin. And then maybe I'll buy a small portion of coins like Hyperliquid, maybe some Solana. Depending on what ETH does, maybe I'll buy a little bit of ETH if it comes down, really deep, like I'd drawn on that high time frame chart. Like I have to buy ETH below here if it comes down there. You know what I mean? But my primary holdings will always be Bitcoin when it comes to crypto. I'm not a big altcoin guy. I think once the cycle is going, there's opportunities to rotate in and out of altcoins and make money. But for the vast majority of you and the vast majority of the cycle, you're probably better off just holding Bitcoin. I've done videos on this, countless videos on YouTube. Like outside of a very brief window, you were way better off holding Bitcoin than you were holding WIF, even though WIF seemed like it was the next great thing. You know what I mean? And this is true for the vast majority of coins. I'm not saying that you should not touch altcoins at all. I'm just saying that I personally am always going to be Bitcoin denominated, figure everything else later. Hi, Mayne. Could you showcase how to enter a trade, low time frame POI? I'll show you over on the whiteboard, buddy. I saw your question. Don't worry. Okay. How would you swing long BTC at your bear market low target? I wouldn't. I would just be buying spot down here. Like as we get below 60K, I'm probably just going to start buying spot Bitcoin. I think this is very cheap. Below 60K, Bitcoin, I think is cheap. I think 50K, 40K, really good fucking value. So I'll throw the fib up there one more time. I think this is very good fucking value for Bitcoin. I think if we're spending any significant time below 40K, it's probably because things have escalated to a crazy extent in the war. But I still would probably buy down here. But I'm buying spot. I'm not putting on leverage down here necessarily. Just looking to buy spot. Do you think there's a chance that everyone adopts the BTC dominant market and they just pump alts only next cycle? Absolutely not. People, every cycle, it's the exact same. People get convinced altcoins are going to make them rich. KOLs are part of this, right? Who are promising people you just put in $1,000, you're going to become a millionaire. It happened with the pump fund trenches this go round. Happened with ICOs many years ago. All of the other fucking bullshit that launched last cycle. It's the same every time. People come in, they get these promises of outsized crazy returns, only possible with altcoins. Bitcoin's never going to get you rich. I don't think that will ever change. Do I use my LLM to help me trade? I use Claude. I don't use it to help me trade. I very much trade just kind of manually and discretion based. I've thought about using Claude to maybe code something for my trading, but my system is fucking piss simple. It doesn't really need that much. I would like to do that next stream with Cred. I disagree with him. I feel like he's moved the goalposts a little, unfortunately. He said it's all good until we break 74K. We've broken 74K, and now he was looking at some sort of expanded flat or some shit. I don't really know. But I'd love to talk to him about, well, what do you think now? Like, as you guys know, I fumbled the top, right? I fumbled the top. But I told you guys, because many of you sold it, and you said you got mad at me, saying, Mayne, you told us to sell if this happened, and then it happened and you didn't sell. Yeah. I said weekly structure break, the cycle's over. We had the weekly SFP, weekly cycle break. Structure's over. I moved the goalpost. I said maybe we'll get a higher low down here, but if we lose this trend line, it's definitely over. And we were. I gave you guys the 3-day, the weekly. I told you exactly what it would be like if it was over, and that's exactly what happened. That's exactly how the market topped. I fumbled it. It's okay. But I at least had the wherewithal to admit that I was wrong rather than just continually to shift the goalposts. What I would love to talk to Cred about is he said, hey, 74K is the key level for him. Because I used weekly structure. He was using the monthly. So he was saying based on the monthly, right, we're still in a bull market so long as we're holding this monthly swing. Well, now we've had a monthly structure break. I don't disagree that, like, well, how much lower can we really go? Probably not crazy. Like, I think a lot of the downside's already done. Maybe we have another 30 to 40%, but we're already, 60% off the high, 50% off the high. I don't know how you can say with any logical backing that we are not in a bear market and the cycle isn't over and hasn't already been over for some time. But I would love to chat with him. See what his thoughts are, because I respect his opinion, but we disagree. So we'll have to wait and see. He's of the mindset that we're in this kind of like longer term structural fucking bull or some shit. He can explain it better than me. Hey, a live stream is a break to my trading today. Hi, Trader Man. Hello, Tony loves perfume. Okay, perfume is good. Chris, Witcher of Wealth. Hey, Mayne, I used Breakout over 6 months ago. Wondering if there's any future updates on Kraken with the different interface trading platform we use with prop firm. Yes, the new terminal is coming this month. Again, don't shoot me if it's a little later, but the expectation is this month, new terminal. And if you want to buy an account, use code Mayne, M-A-Y-N-E, get yourself a sweet little discount. All right, guys, let's head over to the second screen. Or let's actually talk about some new stuff first. But real quick, shout out to Kraken. They bought your boy's company. Speaking of Breakout, they bought your boy's company, so they've been supporting me. So if you want to support your boy as well and the show, check out Kraken. That's who I use as my centralized exchange of choice. Great liquidity. I know the CEO. I got an inside track with the CEO. So I think there's some very exciting stuff coming from Kraken, NATO, some of the integrations we're going to be doing with Breakout and Kraken, very exciting. So if you want to support me, show Kraken some love, use my ref link below and use them as your centralized exchange of choice. So, okay, I'll go over Sol. You're right, I didn't go over Sol. One more chart and then we're moving on. We're going to look at hype. I have an entire section on hype, guys. We're just going to do it on the other camera because I want to talk about Arthur's article. So we're absolutely going to look at hype. Don't worry. Moonlit Poppy, where's your shout out? Your shout out's right here, my guy. Shout out to you. I just can't get over the feeling that Solana is just like ETH. It's just ETH. And it's just like a cycle behind. Like I cannot shake this feeling that these are the same chart. You know what I mean? Like where are we on Sol? They just look so similar to me. Do these charts not look eerily similar? And it's like, okay, maybe Sol is here. And so it's going to have one more cycle where it, makes a new high, but not by that much. You know what I'm saying? And like it's even more glaring when you look at Hold BTC versus ETH BTC. I cannot get this out of my mind that these charts are the same. And Solana is just the new ETH. Next cycle. Maybe it's different, maybe it's better, maybe it will never become the new ETH, but I don't know. Can you tell us when Ink is coming? I can't tell you when it is, but what I can tell you is if you farm NATO, I can give you guys my ref link, right? I've posted my ref link. I'll post it. I'll have Cody post the ref link later, or I'll include it in my Telegram. I posted in Telegram not that long ago. The NATO airdrop is being massively underfarmed because it's a bear market. So not as many people are trading. The same amount of points are going out every single week. So if you want to get that sweet stimmy, go farm the NATO fucking airdrop and use my link. Like the amount of points you can get for very little volume is staggering. I think I took one trade on NATO last week or 2 weeks ago, and I was like top 30 or top 25 for points for that week. One trade. Okay? In Canada, yes, TM, you have to. So just become Swiss for the day. You know what I mean? Okay, so let's get into some of these news topics I want to cover here real quick. Okay, and we'll be flipping back to the charts and speaking of Kraken, shout out to Kraken. They didn't just partner with the Nasdaq, right? This is a massive shift. Okay, so you saw what happened with Kraken and Fedwire. This is huge. They now have this is exactly what this is about. They now have the exact same access that all of these banks do within the Federal Reserve. So this is huge. As you know, Kraken's launching stocks, right? They have X stocks and things like that. So this is massive from a regulatory perspective, just from the future of crypto in general. And then most importantly, this is good news for my bags because Kraken bought my company. So this is good for my bags. I'm very bullish on Kraken. And this is the kind of stuff that makes me remain bullish on crypto overall. You got to remember, right? Crypto Twitter is this. Okay? This is crypto Twitter, right? This is, let me do this even better, okay? I'm so fucking artistic sometimes. It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, this is crypto Twitter. Like, this is our bubble of retards, okay? We exist within kind of like crypto, right? So like we're this little tiny bubble. This bubble might even be too big. We might even be that. Crypto's actually pretty big. There's a lot of big shit going on in crypto that isn't even talked about or discussed on crypto Twitter. Crypto Twitter is worried about your shitty bags, altcoins that you should have sold, some influencer who fucked you over, but you really fucked yourself over because you listened to a stranger on the internet, some guy who exit scammed for fucking $1 million, some guy who fucking robbed some customers for a couple $100,000. Like, we're in this tiny little echo bubble of retards who think that we are the epicenter of crypto. Then there's stuff like this going on, okay? So we're here. Crypto is actually a lot bigger than what we like to believe. There are people who are involved in crypto who are massive, who don't even use Twitter, okay? And then within this circle, like this lives within like the greater financial markets. Like crypto is still just a tiny little speck. And crypto Twitter is like literally a speck on the speck. So as much as there might be doom and gloom on the timeline, there's retards everywhere giving you their ill-informed opinions about crypto and what's going on. I'm not saying there's not some smart people on there sharing smart info, but we're like nothing burgers in terms of the grand scheme of what's going on in crypto. And this kind of stuff is bullish long-term, and why I'm still a believer in crypto, Bitcoin long-term. This kind of news. Not because we're in this, like this kind of news has nothing to do with us being in a bull market or a bear market or the ebbs and flows on price. There are people who will look at this and say, well, why isn't the number going up? As if that's the thing that fucking matters here, okay? So this is big time bullish news in my opinion. Again, this is their partnership for the tokenized stock infrastructure. I think this is huge. It is insane. I agree with Mark. 24/7 trading for tokenized stocks. So everything is 24/7, 365. The hyper-gamblization of the world fucking continues. You're pre-rich. It is exhausting being pre-rich. You're pre-rich. Some might say you're currently poor, but not me. I would never say that to you, ever. You're totally pre-rich, my friend. So this is quite funny, right? Oil pumping like crazy. This is why I said I'm not touching this shit right now. Trump sees oil pumping like crazy, says, oh, the war is basically over. We did everything that we need to do. We striked all the targets. We decapitated the regime. Oil's going to come down. It starts coming down again. And then all of a sudden, Iran starts laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz. So they're quite literally playing Minesweeper now. There you go, Minesweeper. This guy stole my fucking meme. This is even funnier. But yes, they're laying mines. Like, again, I'm too retarded to know what to do with this information. Like, I'm not going to try and trade this market and go, okay, they're laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz. That means oil's going to go up. Like, it's just, I'm not interested in trying to play this game. My mind immediately went to, I thought mines only affected people on land. I didn't think mines were an issue in the ocean or in the water. So I'm not touching fucking oil right now. I want to see this stuff resolve itself before I get involved in this market, guys. Oil collapsed, down 30% since last night's highs, and maybe it's rebounding here, but again, I just don't think this is a market I personally want to touch. Is this the low? It's an order block. It's a breakout order block. Like, sure, this is your invalidation then. Back below this trend line. That's where you get out if you want to play this thing. But me personally, I'm chilling. No, thank you. I think this is what I was alluding to, right? Trump saw oil prices and is like, well, the war's over, basically. We already won, right? And he's trying, I agree with Ariel here. Like, I think he's trying to save the market a little bit. And I think he has greatly underestimated, potentially, how long this war could drag on. With Iran being a relatively horizontal country in terms of power structures and having the ability to continue to attack all these countries in the GCC. Might go on a little longer than the old Donnie expects. I don't know. And again, I think he's looking at the market and he's like, I got to say some shit. This is from this morning. Iran has ruled out any plans for a ceasefire or negotiation. Netanyahu says they're not done yet. Hegg says they're going to go and have more strikes on Iran, the most intense ever. There was a drone attack on the largest oil refinery in the UAE. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, and Iraq have cut production by 6.7 million barrels a day, and oil prices are rebounding. So I don't know. It sounds like the war's not over. It also sounds like this market is going to be very event news driven, very volatile, and a lot of people are going to get absolutely carried out trying to trade this. And this is a good example of what I'm talking about, right? Now they're saying this is textbook, right? The conflict playbook, okay? Trump ramps up threats against Iran, sends the armada to Iran, the strike begins, starts expanding, prolonged conflict over the weekend. He hits the de-escalation. We're now here. This is easy to post on March 9th, okay? I would love for you to have posted this on February 23rd, right? So he's given a step-by-step playbook saying that oil is going to go up, and Trump's been basically telegraphing it, okay? I just think that this is a risky game to play if you don't know what you're doing. If you're going to do the research, you're going to compare prior events, different times that this has happened, like they have here, and try and use that to gain an edge on how to actually trade this oil move. By all means, go for it. As I will go back to what I was saying before, I am smart enough to know that I'm too retarded to try and play this game. Okay? But if you want to be smart like these guys here, and oh, it's so textbook, by all means, fucking go for it. Not for me. US Treasury bought back big amount of debt today, so this is the largest buyback in history. I wonder if inflation affects this number at all, and if it's like, yeah, it's the largest buyback in terms of like nominal number, but something to pay attention to. Warren Davidson, this guy's just like me for real. He's asking Grok, is this true? Is this real? So they're buying back bonds, right? That's what it means when they buy debt, right? They sell these special IOU notes called bonds. They borrow money from people and companies that buy those bonds. They're now buying back those bonds, pay it back later with interest. So I think this is something that ties into potentially future interest rates cuts coming down the line as they're trying to balance the books a little bit. But again, interesting things happening in the world. I think that war plus high interest rates plus scary looking stock market, plus the entire aspect that a lot of these countries that are involved in this conflict send billions of dollars to the US in the form of investment of US dollars, petrodollars, into companies like Nvidia, these AI companies, these tech companies. I think there is potential for a fucking storm brewing of cataclysmic proportions that ends in a huge dump, us making a few shekels and then buying the fucking blood and riding off into the sunset. Like, to me, the dream scenario is, right, stocks dump, okay? Stocks nuke, crypto one more leg down, one more, just one. I don't think, one more leg. One more down, okay? Then 3, cut rates, right? And then 4, okay, this is the most important one, is actual quantitative easing. The fucking money printer, okay? This is the blueprint for getting fucking rich, in my opinion, over the next 6 to 12 months. Is if these things play out the way that I've kind of been laying them out, and I'm hoping that they play out this way because I'll make money and hopefully you will as well, is we see this correction in stocks. Some of these companies, these AI companies, pull back. We see these big correction in stocks, 10, 15, 20+% in the S&P 500. We get that additional leg down in crypto, down to 50K, 45K even, right? They cut rates once or twice, maybe 3 times more this year. Remember, we are not getting number 4. We're not getting QE until this happens. So we're not getting QE until this happens. We need these 2 things to happen, rates lower and stocks lower. The market has to be in turmoil to get actual quantitative easing. But if these things happen, what does this equal? It equals profit, okay? So these things equal profit for us. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping we get the nuke on stocks. I'm hoping crypto has another leg down. I'm hoping that they cut rates. And then I'm hoping that we get to buy the blood. We get to buy cheap ES. Imagine buying the S&P 500 fucking down here, dude. Like, to me, down here, like, this is like generational, hold that till you die kind of entries. Maybe it's even lower. Like, maybe it's the end of days, dude. I don't know. Like, that may be a little aggressive, but regardless, like, if we get something like this, but on a bigger scale, right? Or like a 2008 style crash, oh my God, hold that shit forever. And then you buy your Bitcoin sub 40, sub 60K, sub 50K. And then they cut rates and then they turn the money printer on. You're no longer pre-rich. You're fucking rich right now. So that's kind of where I'm at. High time frame. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. I will drop the NATO ref link, guys, in my Telegram after the video. Okay, so after the video, or it's in my Telegram right now. Go scroll up in my Telegram. You can find my NATO ref link. I will talk about hype at the end, guys. I'm doing a big deep dive on hype, but this is the blueprint for profit. Okay, prototype. Thank you, bro. You're fucking handsome, bro. See, some of you guys are true followers. You guys know I need to be told I'm handsome. It's necessary. All right. Elon says X money early public access ready to launch next month. Does this affect Dogecoin? What does this do? Who is this for? Are we just going to be using like X for everything? You're going to use Grok. You're going to have X money. You're going to have X for social media. You're going to have X for videos. You're going to have Starlink. Like, are we just all going to be part of the Elon Musk hive mind at some point? I don't know. But this is very soon. This is coming very soon. What launches first, X money or the Breakout terminal? Now that is interesting. Okay, I just tried to click on the link for the NATO DEX and I literally need to put in a code. I'll drop the link in my Telegram again. All you gotta do is click the link and sign up. And then hook up your wallet, obviously. So the Anthropic CFO claims that the Pentagon blacklist could cause the business to lose out on multiple $billion in revenue. We talked about this market before it happened, where it was whether or not Hegseth was going to ban Anthropic. Then Sam Altman fails the physiognomy test, came and said, oh, don't worry, you can use ChatGPT, even though ChatGPT sucks ass. But yeah, I mean, now there's a market. Are they going to ban it entirely? That looks like my ref link. There you go. Doge looks like it wants 1 cent. Well, this could, like, is there going to be an integration of X money and Dogecoin? Right? Is there anything here? Is there any alpha in this? I mean, this can't go much lower. Did we take out that low? Did it trade below there? It took out that low. So we took out that monthly low into demand here. So maybe there's a setup here going into the X money thing. Like maybe there's a setup here on Doge. Just nothing on these time frames here yet. You got to get pretty granular. I would argue like I would argue you want to see it break above the range high here. So he thinks it's going to 1 cent. Well, that's right around kind of here. Or wait, sorry, am I in the right denomination here? But I think above here looks interesting, right? Because then, you know, you're above this kind of structure on the 3-day. There's a low, a high, a higher low, a higher high. After a monthly sweep, that starts to look interesting. But yeah, whether or not Elon actually uses Doge for anything, I have no idea. It's pure speculation. I mean, fuck Sam Altman, right? But this is pretty funny, right? This is pretty funny. So we'll see. They're planning on taking OpenAI public later this year. OpenAI agreed to work with the government. They're going after Anthropic pretty hard. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I'm Team Claude. Like, I'm Team Claude. So I want to talk about CT Corner here, guys. I mentioned this, right, with the oil chart. Okay? Our boy Cooker, our sweet boy Cooker here. With a lot of teeth, you know? Say something nice, I'd say it's a lot of teeth in that smile, very teethy smile. So our boy Cooker Flips here is down, or was down. Maybe he's up now. I don't know. I don't know what his entry was. Let's see. Ooh, his entry's 108. Did he get licked? I don't actually know. But our boy Cooker Flips here decided that he understood geopolitical conflicts in the Middle East and the effect in which they have on the oil markets. Naturally, because he's on Twitter, he spent a day scrolling, probably less than a day, let's be honest. And he's like, I get it now. I understand now. So what does he do? He goes over to Hyperliquid and he says, I'm going to long oil with size. And he longed the Pico Schmico top. And I mean, he longed at 108. Hard to have a better entry than that. I mean, right now he's down 20% on his position. Is he still in the trade? It looks like no. Looks like he's out of the trade. But he was down. I don't know if he closed, right? He's down 500K. Probably down less. Maybe he closed on this bounce. But this is my analogy about being retarded and knowing how retarded I am, right? I know I'm too retarded to try and trade oil right now. Cooker, unfortunately, right? He didn't realize how retarded he is. And I'm not dunking on him. I'm retarded, but I'm smart enough to know I'm retarded. Okay? He's too retarded to know he's retarded. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, GG's. 500K is a big fucking L. But yeah, things can get scary quick. Hopefully, that's the amount of money he is okay losing. There you go. I mean, this is why graphics cards cost and RAM cost so much money right now, is because of stuff like this. So here's Cooker dropping mines into the Strait of Hormuz, hoping that the markets will pump and he'll be able to exit his oil long at a slightly better. That's fucking funny, and that's really good. Who made this? How do you make this? This is really good. I'm giving that a like. I'm giving it an LOL. I'm giving that an LOL. Brian, my bald brother here, said very soon there's going to be more AI agents than humans making transactions. They can't open bank accounts, but they can own a crypto wallet. Think about it. I don't know, Brian. Can these AI agents maybe run customer service without selling my information to people? So I get constantly fucking called from fake Coinbase customer service people telling me to reset my password. Can AI agents do that? Or are you still gonna hire cheap labor? Anyways, ask me how I really feel about having to change my fucking phone number and email again, you fucking... Anyways, the CEO of Kraken said something, blah, blah, blah. They can't open bank accounts, but they already own crypto wallets. So the biggest economy of the next decade won't run through banks. It will all run through blockchains, not because crypto won, because banks physically can't onboard customers that isn't human. Banks weren't built for what's coming. Contrarian take, because yes, this is very horny, but what if these banks just adopt and create their own stable coins, which you don't own, you don't benefit from at all. They use crypto technology, but they're not going to use XRP or Link or whatever the fuck else you might think they're going to use. See, Zor, I know you're lying. He said, I actually work for Coinbase. Please give me your Canadian social security number. If you actually work for Coinbase, you would know Canadians have a social insurance number, not a social security number. Anyways, 651-303-213. There you go. Do what you will with that information. I have not talked about hype yet, bro. I will. Like I said, I have an entire section on hype. We're going to go over to that screen right now. But I don't disagree with this take in that there's a very good chance the future rails of finance are using blockchain crypto technology. I think where a lot of people are going to misconstrue this is they're going to think that this is like bullish for XRP or something. When it's a lot more likely that big companies, banks, countries, etc., in my opinion, create their own stable coins and they use that to do these transactions on the blockchain. All right, guys. I actually do work for Coinbase. I read that almost long Sunday night. Then I realized I'm retarded, went to bed. Thank goodness I did that. And did you not wake up well rested with all your money? Retard maxing is the way. It's the way. It saved you there. Awesome. Great to hear. Okay. Thank you, Zora. I appreciate you. You look very handsome as well, bro. I hope you're good. All right. Let's get over to... What's my PFP on Kick? That's my old school PFP. It's like a metallic space goose that I had someone make many years ago because I thought that was cool. You got to remember, when I first got on Twitter, I was a young man. I was in my early 30s, so I was much more into that kind of stuff. Now I'm, in my mid to late 40s, and I've grown up and I've changed my profile picture to just be more professional, and it's just kind of my face now. So we've covered Bitcoin, we've covered ETH, we've covered Sol, we've covered oil, we've covered the S&P 500, we've covered a ton of shit. I told myself this episode was going to be shorter. I'm an hour and a half in and I'm just yapping my face off. But we're going to head over to the other TV now and we're going to start talking about what the fuck is going on in the world. Because there's some stuff happening, guys. There's some stuff happening. There's crazy things happening on the blockchain and we're going to talk about them. So let's get into it. So, as you guys know, Polymarket is one of the sponsors for the order book, okay? So if you want to support your boy, if you're stoked that the streams are back on YouTube, you want to support me, go use Polymarket. Use my link below. Just click it. It's in the description of the video. Just click the link. Help your boy out. You can take some bets with me. As you guys know, we cashed a little bet on UFC. We bet on Charles Oliveira. I took that bet on Polymarket. I thought the odds were juice. So if you want to support your boy, you want to speculate on shit like who is going to be the best, the Oscar Best Actor winner. I actually have some thoughts on this. Do it on Polymarket. You can trade headlines, all the stuff that's going on in the Middle East, financial wise, actual price predictions, or just random shit like this that's going on in the world. We can speculate on. If you want to support me, shout out to Polymarket. Fucking click the link. Please click it. Anyways, Best Actor winner. Now, this is a very interesting market. I sent out a tweet months ago saying that I just watched Marty Supreme. And after watching Marty Supreme, I was like, Timothée Chalamet has this shit in the bag. I'm like, he's gonna win. Finally, he probably deserved an Oscar already, right? He probably already deserved one for maybe his Bob Dylan portrayal, fucking maybe for Dune. Like, he deserves it, right? However, Michael B. Jordan was in a movie called Sinners. I saw it. Meh. Fucking black vampires who like fucking jazz music. I just wasn't like, it didn't blow me away. It was a good movie, but it was not like, wow. Whereas Marty Supreme was like uncut gems level of chaotic and just so cool. And I thought he did such a good job. I thought he had a lock, but I believe it's called the SAG Award, Screen Actors Guild. So when the Screen Actors, black vampires, that's not racist, is it? When the Screen Actors Guild Awards were done, Michael B. Jordan won Best Actor there, and something crazy, like 18 out of the last 20, or 19 out of the last 20 people who won at the SAG Awards win the Oscar. So the odds shifted massively here. So Timmy was leading strong as fuck, right? Like Timmy's up huge. And then now all of a sudden there's been this inversion where Michael B. Jordan is now at over 50%. So Timothée Chalamet was up to 80% likely to win Feb 20. Now I'm like, okay, there might be some juice here. So personally, I like Timmy here. I like the boy Tim. Now, is it just because he's Timothée Chalamet, I'm Timothée Chalamet? I don't know. But I think there's juice here on Timmy, even though the odds are in favor of Michael B. Jordan. 18 out of the last 20 people who won the SAG Best Actor won the Oscar Best Actor. But now there's actual juice here. Timmy was an 80% favorite. Now he's not even favorited to win. 3-1. I like that market. Okay? So that's a market that I'm looking at. That's a market I'm probably going to... Should we take the bet right now? Is it going to... Like, should I just take the bet right now? Okay. I just took the bet right now. Fuck it. We're in. So I just put $1,000 on that. Pays back $3,000. I'm in another bet. Well, you'll see it actually. I'm in the FOMC bet still. Is there going to be a ceasefire between the US and Iran, and by what date? I think March 15th, even though Trump's saying the war is basically over, I just bet on Tim. Guys. It's the Actors Union Award. SAG-AFTRA, whatever the fuck it's called, it doesn't matter. If you're trying to pass your breakout prop evaluation, you should be in the Telegram. I'm putting out free trades there. You should be watching the streams and then use the fucking Polymarket link so they keep supporting your boy. I think this war goes on a lot longer than Trump probably wants to admit. We just saw that tweet that I covered, basically Iran saying like there's no talks of a ceasefire. Hegseth saying we're going after him. Netanyahu say we're going after him. So I think betting on no on some of these is probably where the juice is. I definitely think this is one of those things where it's like free money. I mean, you got to bet fucking $1,000 to make 40 bucks. I just don't think that there's any juice there. But this, I think, maybe, right? It's like 0.5 R, 400 bucks, $1,000 risk. It's like 0.5 R, 0.4 R. Are they gonna have a ceasefire by the end of March? It's only 20 days away, 21 days away. It's 3 weeks. So another one to watch there. I think this is a much safer way for many of you to be trading oil than to trade oil by actually trading the chart. I think a lot of you are getting cooked trying to trade this chart yourself. You have no business trading this chart yourself. It's very volatile. It's very news driven, right? However, if you think that oil is going down or up, excuse me. So let's say you're cooker. So see, I'm cooker flips now. See the big smile? If I'm cooker and oil is here and I think it's gonna go to 200, the problem with longing it on hyperliquid is, well, what happens if it goes down 20% and then it goes up? It doesn't matter because he puked his position down here and now maybe it's gonna rally. Maybe he ended up closing it into the low. I think you're much better off betting that you think it's gonna go to 200 bucks and by what date. Even all the way out to June, really good odds here, right? $1,000 pays over 6,000 bucks for June 30th, okay? March 31st, even less likely, obviously, so the odds are even crazier here, right? $1,000 pays over 20 grand, it's a 20 to 1. So if you're cooker, right? I'm cooker, see? I'm much better off, rather than trying to long this thing on hyperliquid, I'm much better off doing it on something like Polymarket, in my opinion, because it's effectively a binary option now. I know that I'm risking, I mean, bro, he was risking way more than this. I mean, he's down 500K, right? But what was the payoff? If he's down 500K, he's gonna double his money. By what date? I don't know. Like, whereas here, let's say you were to do even $10,000, dude. Like, the numbers get pretty big pretty fast. Same thing, even out in June, I think the numbers are still pretty big. So I think this is one of the best use cases for Polymarket, in my opinion, is if you are looking to speculate on something, but you maybe don't know where to take the trade. You don't know what the entry exactly should be. I think you're much better off using something like Polymarket, where you can treat it almost with a binary option with an expiry date that has ebbs and flows throughout, versus trying to trade a market that you have no idea how it works. So is the AI bubble going to burst? I think this one's a little tricky, right? So within 90 days of this market-specific time frame means that 3 qualifying events must occur within a single 90-day window. Okay, so what are those 3 events? That's the key thing here, right? So NVIDIA has to close down 50% below its all-time high. 3 of these events have to occur by the date. So before you speculate on this market, I might think the AI bubble is going to pop and we're going to go into a global recession. I think before betting on something like this, you want to have a really good understanding of what the requirements are for that bet to qualify. I think NVIDIA is probably the easiest one to say 50% from its all-time high. I don't think that's that crazy. Like, I don't think 50% off its all-time high is impossible. Oh my God, fuck you, I don't want that. Like, 50% off of NVIDIA's all-time high? That's doable, bro. That's fucking doable for sure. Back to $105? I don't actually know. I think that that's a fucking interesting bet. I think that's an interesting bet. I would like to bet on this alone. I don't know if I'd want to bet on 3 of these things happening in conjunction. Because like Anthropic, OpenAI declaring bankruptcy, I don't know about that. Rental space, I assume this is for data centers. This to me seems like the easiest one to potentially predict, and potentially the iShares Semiconductors ETF as well, 40% off all-time high. Let's see, SOSX, let's look at it. Yeah, like this to me, these two, I think very, very possible. Oh yeah, I think that's very, very possible. If we have a broader stock market correction, that we could see this pull back 50%. It's not even below the tariff lows. Interesting. That's two, though. You need three of these things happening. I don't think Anthropic or OpenAI are going bankrupt, personally. I'll have Telegram. It's coming, bro. Hype is coming. I'm going to talk about hype. Deep breath. I don't think Anthropic or OpenAI are going bankrupt. But again, these are interesting markets, interesting ways that you can speculate on Polymarket about fucking cool shit that's happening all the time, including the fucking UFC, which is what we did, and we made money. So the last market we had to do with Anthropic and the Pentagon was whether they were going to make a deal now, or if Hegseth was going to make it illegal, excuse me. Now the market is whether or not they're going to make a deal. And this is a brand new market. I think it just got spun up, so not a lot of volume here yet, but potentially interesting. Will they figure something out? We just showed that the Anthropic CFO said if they don't if Anthropic and the Pentagon have these issues and the US government has these issues, they're going to miss out on billions of dollars. Maybe that encourages them to go make that deal. This is something to watch for sure. Strait of Hormuz returns to normal traffic. I think this is very similar to looking at whether or not there will be a ceasefire. Very similar market, just a different way to speculate on it. There's tons of edge here, guys. Like we talked about this in the last video with some of the top traders over on Polymarket, that these guys are speculating on war, they're speculating on current events, the fucking weather. There's so many different markets and so many cool ways to trade. I'm just sinking my teeth into now. As you guys know, the favorite market, I actually want to go over one more. My favorite market is the FOMC market. Now, I bet on it again. I didn't make any money. So there's like 99% chance of no change here. Right? Like sub 1% chance of no change, but there's still multiple future markets here that you can bet on. So I'm actually on yes, rate cuts here. I think I bet $500. It pays out 35,000. Obviously at this point, I think very unlikely that this is going to play out, but I'm actually on that bet. I just took the Timothy bet as well. So we're in that trade. This trade, basically a wash. I definitely think I'm going to lose that one, but I'm going to bet on this again because I do think there's going to be at least one, potentially two rate cuts this year. So I could bet on 25% basis points for the next one. I could already take that bet, and it's already paying on a $1,000 bet 10 grand. No rate cuts by April 29th. I might take that bet right now, dude. I'm going to take that bet now. So I'm on this one as well. I've done this the last 3 times now. I haven't made money yet, but if I hit one of these, the risk rewards are in my favor. I'm usually betting between like 500 to $1,000 on these. So let's assume I got all 3 wrong at $1,000 for easy math. I'm down 3K. If I hit the next one, I make 10 grand. So I'm netting $7,000 here. So to me, I'll keep taking that bet over and over and over again because I'm pretty confident that we get a rate cut sooner than later. April gives us enough time to see the stock market, I think, pull back a little bit more, which I believe is coming. As you guys know, I'm in the short here. So I do think that we'll see this, the likelihood of a rate cut, right? Look at our keys to fucking success here. Stock nuke, Crypto, one more leg down. Cut rates. Quantitative easing equals profit. If this comes down like this, I think by April, likelihood of rate cuts increase. Maybe I make some money on that bet. We've already talked about oil a bunch, bro. I'm not going to go over oil anymore. All you need to know about oil is I'm not fucking touching it, dude. I have no interest in touching oil. I just learned, look at this. Draw, a race. So sick. I can talk about gold, though, because we didn't touch gold. I gave you guys a very clear level on gold to look at. It's right here, and we're still trading at it. Right? I said we have this kind of breaker block here. If we're able to get above the breaker, I think that's your long, and you put your stop below the low. So what you can see here now is we have started to, we've started to kind of, I don't know, push off it a little bit, but it's still too early to tell. But I kind of drew that we got to reclaim this. Reclaim it, your stop goes below here. So that's kind of my thoughts on gold still. If we're able to get above here like this, stop goes there. Simple. Can I look at USDT? Sure. Why not? Oh, wait. Oh, no. Oh. I'm learning things every day. USDT dominance. Pretty big breakout, right? What's crypto doing right now? It's bouncing. Makes sense, but to me, still very much in an uptrend. And I think if I had to guess, one more leg still in this thing. Let's zoom out a little more. Like, how do we not take out that high? You know what I mean? Like, if this thing's cooked, like, I think, like, this is your next bull run. Down below these lows, maybe. Or maybe it never gets there. Maybe it never gets there at all. But this is like, you're not fading this right now. I think this probably has one more push up. Take out that high, which would be in line with my thoughts that crypto's not bottomed yet. I see someone keeps asking ZCash here over on Twitter. We can look at that real quick. Let's look at Zach. Did you buy when fucking Mert and Naval and all those people were shilling it to you, and then now it's down a bunch and you're stuck holding the bag? Like, did you get caught into the ZEC to 10,000 cult when all these people who owned a bunch of ZEC from fucking down here were telling you that you had to buy it and it's the future of finance, and then they did a huge exit pump on you? Is that why you keep asking? You wish Jane would be here. You know what? I miss Jane a little bit. She kept things entertaining. Do I think ZEC is something to accumulate for next cycle? Not necessarily. It had a great run here, but I think a large part of this run was people who owned this coin from a much lower price than you, coordinatingly shilling it all over the timeline, right? Do I think it's a coin to own for next cycle? I think there's some value in privacy tech, for sure. So I think there's some value in privacy tech. I think there's something to be said there. Ultimately, I think this is kind of probably a big level here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I can make this up to there. Like, that's a pretty decent level right there on the weekly. Huge move up. Lower high. Now it's into weekly support. So you'd want to see it hold here, or else it retraces the entire move back down to here. Can this thing go up? Is the tech interesting? So I don't know. You long 2 days ago, you want to close futures and go to spot. let's see. You long 2 days ago. So you're up. I mean, I don't think my thought process changes, right? Like, if you want to buy spot ZEC here, you have to be partially convinced that the low is already in on Bitcoin. Because if Bitcoin goes to 45,000, this is absolutely going lower, right? But short term, like super short term, you've got some clear levels here, right? Bearish order block, form a resistance here. So like it's got some levels that it has to reclaim. There's your low, there's your high. This is a potential higher low. You want to see price make a higher high above here if this is going to have any sort of sustained rally. You need to see market structure shift bullishly. I just don't see it yet. Maybe the Bitcoin pair looks better. So like maybe if I go versus BTC. Zeb, what the fuck is a Zeb? I don't know what the fuck these drawings are from, but I mean, this chart looks the same as the dollar chart. It's the same chart, exact same chart. It's coming into that, like this is slightly higher, like the dollar chart's in that weekly demand, but the chart looks effectively the same. Low time frame, you treat it the exact same as well, right? Like what were we looking at? The 3-day chart. This made a lower low, right? So the USD chart made a higher low here. The USD chart was this. Well, not quite. This is, right, low, high. This is a lower low. Whereas the USD chart is here. So, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Okay, let's talk about hype. Okay, everyone wants to talk about hype. We're now going to talk about hype. So if you guys subscribe to Arthur's newsletter like I do, he released a newsletter saying that Hyperliquid is going to $150. I can think of several other Twitter accounts who probably hold this same view as Arthur, and they're big hype bulls. Generally, these people hold a lot of hype. So very similar to the conversation we just had about ZEC here. Who was telling you to buy ZEC here and here and here? And then on the dip, telling you that you got to buy the dip. You got to buy the dip. ZEC's going to 10,000. I would venture to say the people that were telling you to buy ZEC here, oops, all the way up and all the way down, and now aren't talking about it at all, right, are the same people who probably were selling it on the way up because they accumulated it much lower. Now, does ZEC have a future? Is privacy tech good? Is ZEC better than Monero? Is this going to run next cycle? I don't fucking know. I am a trader. I trade move to move, level to level. I am not some sort of long-term, forecaster. Arthur is a very good writer. I love reading his newsletter. I think it's very well written. I think he's funny. I think he is very smart. But you have to take what he says with a grain of salt because Arthur at the end of the day is a ruthless operator. And the moment this trade, because that's what he's expressing here, what he is expressing in this headline is that Arthur owns a fuck ton of hype, okay? And his entry price is better than $30. He's not shilling and then filling, okay? You shill after the fill, okay? Arthur is not telling you, oh my God, hype is such a good investment. You should buy it. I'm gonna go buy some right now. Arthur has already filled. Now he's doing the shill, okay? Shill before fill. This is true for everyone on Twitter forever. If I post a long on Bitcoin, I'm probably in that trade already. I'm not trying to get you a better setup than I'm gonna have myself. So keep in mind, Arthur and a lot of the other people who are probably parroting what he's saying here, that Hyperliquid is going to $150, they're already in. And they probably have a better entry than you. Now, I think Hype actually has, as you guys know, a very good looking setup. So I've talked about this a few times on stream, right? I like this setup a lot. And we talked about it at a lower price than it is right now. We talked about this setup here. If you guys remember, this is probably one of the first streams that we did for the show back here. I can't read that date because this thing's blocking it, but there we go. What is this? Yeah, this is one of the first shows, early Feb, okay? I talked about this weekly setup on Hype, where we have the weekly sweep, which also happens to be both a weekly SFP and a monthly SFP. And then we had the breaker, plus the MSB right there. I said, this is a really strong setup on Hyperliquid. So every time you guys have asked me about Hype over the last 4 weeks, I've pointed to this exact setup saying this is a really good setup. And if Bitcoin doesn't go down, this setup's gonna cook. And we also looked at Hype BTC and it looked good. So I agree the setup looks good. Now calling it to go to higher than the all-time high, right? Higher than the all-time high is a bold call. It's like a 3x of the all-time high. Not quite is what he's calling for here. Just remember, he's already filled and now begins the shill, okay? So I agree the chart looks good. I also think that Hyperliquid is one of the most interesting companies in all of crypto, okay? Now this is very funny from FOMO Cap. He says he's gonna dump it at $50 in a few months. Thanks for your attention on this matter, okay? Arthur is notorious for writing these big, eloquent tweet threads, newsletter posts about whatever his positioning is with Maelstrom, which he's the CIO of the fund, and then the position doesn't go the way that they want, whatever it is, and then he'll nuke it. He'll say, oh, I'm calling for this coin to $50, right? And it's at 10, then it goes to 13 and he nukes the entire bag. So again, he filled before he shilled, and guess what? He's gonna exit before he tells you, before you know. So he's already filled before he told you to buy, and he will exit before he told you that he sold. Okay, so you got to keep that in mind. This is true for Arthur. This is true for everyone. Why would he tell you to get out before he gets out of his big bag? So I thought this was funny, but it is accurate. Arthur's been known to do this before. What's bullish about Hype? Other than just the fucking chart itself. One of the more bullish charts in crypto, Hype BTC, also one of the most bullish charts right now, I think. Like, that looks good. Like, this looks like it's about to break out and have another leg higher and make new all-time highs versus Bitcoin. Very good. If you want to hold an altcoin that looks like this versus Bitcoin, rather than an altcoin that looks like shit versus Bitcoin. Like some of the ones that you guys have had me chart today, right? Some of these charts look very shitty versus Bitcoin. There's charts that look really good. Doesn't mean those coins can't go up, but like this is a good looking setup, okay? Lots of good stuff going on here with Hype. So the Hyperliquid improvement proposal, I think that's what HIP stands for. They're already testing number 4. So HIP 3 added gold, oil, right? Like, so now you can trade all of these TradFi assets on Hyperliquid 24/7. Like, TradFi is on chain now. Really good product, slick fucking UI. You can trade all of this stuff, and they're building still. HIP 4 is live on testnet. HIP 3 is crushing, okay? And then this is his Substack. So I subscribe to his Substack. I agree with White Whale here. This is bag work. Funny coming from him, but this is bag work indeed from Arthur, right? He's shilling his fucking wares. Everybody all the time is talking their book. No one is giving you a free sandwich. There's no free lunch, okay? If someone's saying this coin is great, this looks good, this is this, they are already in, or they maybe are even use you as exit liquidity. Bro, you can trade everything on Hyperliquid 24/7. Yes. Yeah, Arthur was probably shilling Zach. I don't actually remember if it was him specifically, but yeah, he's bull posted a ton of shit and then closed it well before it got to his target, right? 150 is very lofty. So, what are we talking about? What are we talking about here when we're talking about Hyperliquid, okay? There's a lot of good stuff going on here, okay? So they're bullish on hype. He's calling for 150 by August of 2026. I think Bitcoin bottoms sometime towards Q4 of this year. Arthur believes that it will be 3 times or a 5x from the current price now. I'm of the belief that Bitcoin's still in a bear market. So there you go. Arthur was behind ZEC to 10K, right? And what was Arthur probably doing with ZEC while you were buying? He was probably dumping his bag on you, right? So the thesis is sideways or bear market, exchange tokens outperform because they keep generating fees regardless of price direction. GMX hit all-time high during the last down market, sets historical precedent. You can look at something like BNB, right? BNB is a coin that even in the bear market has done well, right? I mean, obviously Binance is, but like this is the last bear market, but BNB suffered, but it didn't even pull back as deep as Bitcoin did. So that does lend some credence to his statement here that, hey, like exchange tokens outperform even in a bear. But I think it's a bit of a stretch to think that hype is going to 5x from here while Bitcoin's in a bear market or going sideways. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think this is a very aggressive target and timing. I think hype to 150 at some point in the future is absolutely possible. Why Hyperliquid? It's the biggest revenue generating protocol in all of crypto outside of obviously money printing stable coins like Tether. 97% of all the revenue goes back to buy hype. So that's more than any other project, protocol, etc. 97% of revenue is used for buybacks. Obviously, huge real trading volume. The most on any perp dex. ADV over OI ratio is top 5 among competitors. So there's not a lot of wash trading or fake volume. So if you go on sites like CoinGecko, you can see like, oh, top exchanges by volume, and you'll see these random exchanges in China, and you're like, I've never heard of this before. A lot of that volume is fake, wash volume. Not the case for Hyperliquid, okay? Volume is very real, it's solid, they've got great liquidity, good slippage. You can open up size with very little slippage. Part of his bull case is that there's still a microcosm of centralized exchange volume, right? So it's only a 4% market share shift from SEX perp trading to Hyperliquid to hit the revenue target. So if 4% of SEX volume goes from Binance, Bybit, Kraken, wherever else to Hyperliquid, that will get them to the revenue target that imputes the $150 value for the token. It's achievable. I don't agree with it. Like, to me, this is a much better argument than the macro thesis here. Exchange tokens outperform. I think the fact that all of these things exist are very bullish for hype. Again, we talked about this. HIP3 is already live. You can trade gold, silver, Nasdaq, S&P 500. Weekend price discovery on TradFi when the CME is closed. That's great. HIP4 is launching soon. It's in testnet now. Team token distribution has dropped massively. So, and then he basically gives you the calculation, right? Currently trades at 12 times price to equity. Here's some comps. What are the downsides? Stress tests, max team distros, market only pays 12x PE, but all revenues still reach all-time high of 1.4 billion annualized. So his downside scenario is that price goes higher than here, like is back at all-time high. So his bear case is that price 2x from here. It's a well thought out thesis, right? And as I said, fill before shill, right? So when did Maelstrom fill? Mid-20s. We're now in the 30s or low 30s. Now he's shilling, okay? It's their largest liquid shitcoin position. They're actively selling holdings to try and buy more hype in the current price range. So I think it's a good thesis. I agree with a lot of this, okay? I agree with a lot of this stuff. This core trade idea of exchange tokens outperforming in a bear, I actually think is the weakest part of the argument. I want to give you guys one contrarian take here. So my contrarian take is this. What if, and I've talked about this before, what if there's a world where we have the Democrats, right, who are seemingly likely going to win in the midterms, come in, and what they want to do is they want to go after Trump and anything that Trump is associated with. Trump calls himself the crypto president. He believes he's been doing amazing things for crypto. Crypto has kind of been fucking shit since he took over, let's be honest. Trump coin, Melania coin, nothing has really passed yet. No market structure bill, etc. yet. But he's at least been vocally friendly to crypto, and there are some things happening, right? What if when the Democrats get in next, they want to undo, right, a lot of what Trump did? One of the things that I find happens in American politics, and I say this as a Canadian, so correct me if I'm wrong, but because they operate on this 4-year system, right, where every election, there's an election every 4 years, if the Democrats get in after a Republican or a Republican gets in at the Democrats, the first thing they do is try and unwind a bunch of the shit the last president did. So they'll sign a bunch of executive orders, walking back a bunch of shit, right? And I think it hurts America's ability to plan long-term for the future because it's like, oh, first thing we gotta do is fucking undo the shit all the last people did. I could totally see the Democrats going after crypto hard. And the bear case. So instead of the downside here being it only, like, this is a hilarious statement to me, is the downside is all-time high, right? The downside scenario for Hyperliquid, in Arthur's opinion, is a move back to all-time high, $58. Okay? To me, the downside scenario for Hyperliquid DEXs in general is regulatory. The government decides to say, if you want to operate, you have to do KYC. Have to. No DEX is allowed unless it is a full KYC DEX. That to me is the downside risk, not it going back to all-time high and underperforming his target. I think Hype going back to all-time high is a win, especially if you bought at 25, you've doubled your money. But I think that is the risk for these DEXs is regulatory, as opposed to what Arthur's saying here. But in terms of a chart, it's a good-looking chart. Remember, fill before shill. He filled, now he's shilling. So that's all I got, guys. I think that's it for today's episode. I know we're a little long. We're at 2 hours, but I think this was a good first stream back on YouTube. I've missed being on YouTube. I've missed the chat. The chat is way more active over here. If you want my Telegram, bro, just go to my website, tradermayne.com. It's there. You just got to scroll down, click the link. It's completely free. Check out tradermayne.com if you want to trade at the Haven with me, UB, Loma, all the homies, Cold Blood Schiller. Use code Mayne at Breakout if you want a discount. And if you like the show, I'm trying to step it up. I'm trying to step it up here, right? With the fucking screens. You're right. Let me get to this kick question, okay? I'm trying to step it up with the screens here, guys. Investing a little bit more in the stream, making it a little bit better, making it a little bit higher quality. So if you want to support me, guys, and support this show, just use the links below. Go to Polymarket, click that link below, sign up. I took 2 Polymarket bets during this video. Sign up on Polymarket using my link and support the show. That's going to be the best thing you can do for me. I'm not asking you for any fucking money. These videos are free for you to watch, okay? So the question on Kick, and then I'm going to wrap it up here. So his question was, hi Mayne, could you showcase how you enter a trade in a low time frame point of interest, like the 15-minute, within a high time frame point of interest, which swept a key level for higher RR? Trying to back test this right now with your strategy, but I guess doing something wrong, getting stopped out often, but I put my stop loss below the low time frame suite, which created the low time frame POI within the high time frame. A lot of fucking verbiage there. So I think what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is you have price do this. Okay, so he's saying price is doing this. Okay, on the high time frame. So this is his high time frame POI. Right? We have our SFP. Okay? We have our high time frame POI. This is a breaker. And then what he's doing is he's zooming in here on the low time frame. And now he's looking for basically the pattern to repeat on the low time frame. And this is his low time frame SFP. And this is his low time frame POI. And he's saying he's entering in here because the stop is too wide up here, but he's getting stopped out a lot on this. Am I correct in what you are asking here? You can trade NATO from your phone, yes. Works actually pretty good on your phone. So is this your question? Saying yes. Okay. So I look like I paid BitBoy to set up the screen. If I paid BitBoy to do this, there'd be cocaine and guns everywhere and mistresses. Okay? I haven't reached that level of ascent on my crypto journey yet. I haven't gone full BitBoy, and everyone knows never go full BitBoy. Okay, so I think the issue that you're having is likely that when you use your low time frame POI as your entry, right? You have to realize within, okay, if this is your high time frame POI, whatever it is, and then you're entering like this, okay? And you're putting your stop right there, okay? And you're entering there because you want the tight risk reward. What you have to realize is that your actual invalidation is based on this high time frame POI's SFP. This is the actual invalidation for the setup. And so if you enter on this, right, and then it does this, and then goes up, you're going, what the hell? I entered here, it swept, it went lower, but you got to realize it never invalidated the high time frame stop loss. Okay, so the invalidation is off of the high time frame. The invalidation is always that high time frame SFP, at least in the way that I've been teaching it to you guys so far. Okay, so that's probably the problem that you're having here is you're getting stopped out here. It never invalidates this, and then you're probably seeing it move away. So how do you fix this? Quite simply, be willing to take the trade more than one time, okay? So if this is your high time frame POI, and then this is your, right? This is where we are, high time frame. There's your high time frame SFP. We're now on the low time frame in here, looking for the bottom to form, right? We're expecting that higher low. You got to realize this is the actual invalidation. So you can take a stop out here and then take it again, and then voila, this one works. And because you're on the low time frame here, the risk reward on this trade here was 3 to 1, 4 to 1. Okay, you lose this, you're down 1R. This one's 3 or 4 to 1. This one hits, now you're netting out 2 or 3R. The advantage of going to the low time frame is you have a tighter risk reward. But what that means is that the win rate of this actually being the stop is lower. And I'm going to show you an example in the chart here in a second. So you have to be willing to take more kicks at the can. Okay? You have to be willing to take more kicks at the can, or your stop should have been down there. Okay? Because this is technically where that move's invalidated, not here. Does that make sense so far? Now let me see if I can find an example. I'm going to go over to the camera here. It'll be a little easier to show. But let me know if that makes sense. Do I think hype can go back to $20? Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Will it go back to $20? I don't know. This is a pretty strong looking setup on hype as it is. Right? Maybe we can use hype for this example. Okay, so what do we have here, Cal? We have a weekly SFP, and then we have our high time frame POI. This entire setup is invalidated here. So even though we're going to the low time frame, and I'm now looking for a low time frame setup in here, right? And like, look at this. I found an H1 sweep, H1 market structure break. Like, this is all the ingredients for the setup are right here, dude. I got the H1 sweep. I got the MSB right there. Okay, I've got the breaker block right here, right? So this is the breaker block right there. Okay, because it's a bullish breaker. So it's the up candle for the down move. Why did this get stopped out? Got stopped out even though I had all the ingredients on the low time frame here. All the ingredients on the low time frame here for the setup, and it didn't work. Because you got to remember the invalidation is technically down here. So this gray box is the area where I'm looking for that setup to form. It doesn't mean every single setup that forms here is going to work. And then lo and behold, we have, you know, an SFP here with a market structure break, right? And a breaker block. This one did work. This one did play out. This one didn't. Your 1R here, then this one hits, you're now netting out, you know, 4R. Because this one ended up being the one that fucking ripped. So what you have to do is be willing to take multiple kicks at the can. Because you're going to the low time frame to look for that tighter setup, realize that the likelihood that the exact one that you pick might not be it. There might be 2 or 3 of these that don't play out correctly. But the idea here is this gray box, and I'm even on a pretty low time frame here, right? But this gray box is where we're expecting, right? Oh, this gray box is where we're expecting the low to form. It doesn't mean the first tag, this ended up being it. I mean, maybe this is a bad example. The first time it came in here, that was the low, this is a higher low. But this is where we're looking on the low time frame. Think of it as that sniper scope that I always go back to. Zoom in, that's what you're looking for. So be willing to take more kicks at the can. I hope that that answered your question. I don't know if it will. I think we had another example like here, right? There's your weekly sweep. You know, low time frame, this is your 12-hour POI right there. Go down to the hourly. Right? There's more than one attempt here to take that trade. These ones all, I think, worked. Like, I think once we got that SFP, it never went higher than there again. But that's what you're looking for. So I hope that answered the question or helped. You can let me know. But guys, I'm going to sign off here. It's been 2 hours. This was super fun. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 3 p.m. PST. The order book will be live on YouTube, on Twitter, on X as well, on Kick as well. If you want to help your boy out, all that I ask, use the links below. Check out Kraken, use that link below. Check out Polymarket, click that link below. Go to my website if you want to use Breakout, code Mayne. That's it. As always, you want to support the boy? Tell me I'm handsome. Leave me likes, comments, share this with your friends. I'll talk to you guys again on Thursday. Peace